There is a level of mindset so strong that it allows you to endure anything while staying focused on your goals. A level so powerful that it enables you to rise above the environment you were born into and stand out wherever you go. But most people never reach this level of mental discipline. Not because they lack potential, but because they are trapped in the reality they have been immersed in since childhood. But understand this. You are not bound by the environment you were born into. You are bound by the version of yourself that this environment has created. And the difference between those two things is everything. Because the environment can change. The people around you can change. The place you live can change. But as long as the mental map you carry inside your mind remains the same, you will continue arriving at the same destinations, no matter which path you take. What you are about to see in this video is not a list of techniques. It is a system. 10 concepts developed in Japan over decades, over centuries, not to motivate people, but to fundamentally reprogram how the brain interprets reality, reacts to failure, and persists when everything suggests that continuing is pointless. And there is a structure to it. Each concept builds on the previous one. The first prepares the ground for the second. The second makes the third possible. And this progression continues until the 10th concept transforms everything that came before into something permanent. This is the map Harold never had. But now, you do. After the Second World War, a Japanese company called Toyota faced what seemed like an impossible problem. Their factories were producing defective cars at a rate that damaged their reputation across the industry. Assembly line issues were constant, leading to excessive rework and inefficiency. But beneath these technical failures was something deeper, a problem of mindset. Toyota's response was not to bring in external consultants. Instead, they turned inward, toward a philosophical principle, and applied it directly to their production system. Within 10 years, Toyota became one of the most reliable manufacturers in the world. That principle was called Kaizen. And it is only the first of the 10 concepts we will explore in this video. Alongside Kaizen, we will explore Mushin, Zanshin, Fushin, Ikigai, Wabi-sabi, Ganbaru, Ichinen, Seihaku, Suari. Together, these ideas form a complete roadmap for transforming the way your mind works. But here is what most self-help books fail to tell you. Kaizen works not because it is a productivity technique. It works because it aligns perfectly with how the human brain is biologically designed to change. Researchers at Stanford University studying neuroplasticity discovered that the brain resists sudden, drastic changes as if they were threats, activating the same alarm systems used for predators and physical danger. But when change is small, almost invisible, that alarm system does not activate. And transformation begins quietly, beneath the surface of resistance. There was a man in Cleveland who needed to hear exactly this. He just didn't know it yet. His name was Harold. He was 30 years old, raised in a neighborhood where success was not measured in dreams, but in stability. A place where ambition was often mistaken for arrogance. Where imagining a life beyond your immediate surroundings was treated as unrealistic, almost irrational. Harold worked in an accounting office where he was neither noticed nor remembered. He arrived at 8 in the morning. He left at 6 in the evening. He sat at the same desk. Opened the same files. Closed the same numbers. Invisible to the company. Invisible to his colleagues. And, most painfully, invisible to himself. His wife, Susan, was a good woman, hardworking, loyal, grounded in the kind of realism their environment had taught them. She loved Harold. But she didn't believe life could be any different. That's just how it is, Harold. Everyone lives like this. Maybe, in some way, you recognize yourself in his story. One Tuesday afternoon, during his lunch break, Harold sat in front of a screen filled with spreadsheets that meant nothing to him. Out of habit, he opened YouTube. He wasn't searching for Japanese philosophy. He was searching for anything that felt different from what he had already tried. Productivity systems. Discipline hacks. Cold showers. Social media detoxes. Waking up at 4 de la madrugada. He had tried everything. And nothing had changed the core of his life. 10. A video appeared. The title read. The top 10 Japanese concepts that reprogram your brain. Harold clicked. At first, it was curiosity. But what followed was something much deeper. It wasn't just watching a video. It was the beginning of the collapse of the mental map his environment had built inside him. And the construction of an entirely new one. This channel exists for people who want to break free from the limitations imposed by their environment and consciously build a different life. If you are one of those people, you are in the right place. Subscribe, because the next video will go even deeper, and you won't want to miss it. Now, let's continue. Chapter 1, The Problem with the Map. Harold didn't grow up with a vision of failure. He grew up with a vision of survival. And that difference changes everything. Failure means you attempted something beyond your limits. Survival means you never moved beyond them at all. When a child grows up in an environment where survival is the highest goal, the brain adapts. It begins to treat anything beyond survival as dangerous. As unrealistic. As something to avoid. Did Harold know this? No. Not consciously. What he did know was this. Every time he tried to do something different. A new course, a business idea, even a simple conversation with his boss about growth, a voice would immediately follow. It wasn't the voice of an external enemy. It was his own. And it spoke with the calm certainty of someone who already knew the ending before the story had even begun. This isn't for you. Most people who consume personal development can't enter trying to solve a behavioral problem. Harold had a different problem. He had an identity problem. And no productivity hack can solve an identity problem, because you cannot build new behaviors on a foundation that tells you that you don't deserve the results of those behaviors. What Harold needed wasn't motivation. He needed reprogramming. And reprogramming always begins in the same place. The realization that the map you use to navigate reality is not reality. It is simply the map you were given. The Japanese have a name for the first step in this process. They call it Kaizen. Chapter 2 Kaizen, the smallest unit of true change. A journey of 1,000 li begins with a single step. Kaizen is not a modern idea disguised as an ancient concept. Its roots trace back to Zen Buddhist philosophy, where the principle of Ichinichi is, improving a little each day, was not treated as a strategy, but as a way of being. A man who sweeps the same corridor every day with full attention is not just cleaning. He is practicing transformation. He is becoming slightly different today than he was yesterday. But it wasn't until the 20th century that Kaizen gained scientific validation. Researchers studying a bit formation discovered what they call the paradox of abrupt change. When a person tries to change too many behaviors at once, or attempts a transformation that matches the scale of their problem, the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for self-control and decision-making, becomes overwhelmed. The available cognitive resources are quickly depleted. And when those resources run out, the brain doesn't negotiate. It returns to its previous patterns. Not because you are weak, but because of biology. Kaizen solves this problem with precision. It reduces change to a size so small that the brain no longer perceives it as a threat. Harold was sitting in his office when he first heard about this concept. His headset still on, spreadsheets open in front of him. And his reaction was exactly what you would expect from an intelligent person encountering this idea for the first time. This is too small to matter. And that was exactly the point. What Harold didn't know, what most people don't know, is that the brain does not learn through intensity. It learns through repetition. When one neuron fires alongside another repeatedly, a connection forms. Over time, that connection becomes automatic. Neuroscientists call this process myelination, the brain wrapping frequently used neural pathways in a fatty layer that increases the speed of signal transmission dramatically. In simple terms, what you repeat, You become. And Kaizen is the system that guarantees repetition, because it makes the action so small that it becomes impossible to avoid. During that lunch break, Harold made a decision. Not a dramatic one. A macroscopic one. Every morning, before turning on his work computer, he would spend 5 minutes studying something, anything, related to personal finance. 5 minutes. No more. So small that it barely qualified as a commitment. In the first week, it felt pointless. In the second week, he started to look forward to it. By the third week, those 5 minutes had naturally expanded into 15, because his brain had begun to associate the activity with reward. But Kaizen was only the entry point. Because once the door is open, you need to know where to look next. There's a level of mindset so strong that it allows you to withstand anything and stay focused on your goals. A level so great that it allows you to overcome the environment you were born into and makes you stand out wherever you go. But most people fail to achieve this level of mental discipline precisely because they are trapped in the reality they have been immersed in since childhood. But let me tell you something. You're not bound by the environment you were born into. You're trapped in the version of yourself that this environment has created. And the difference between those two things is everything. Because the environment can change. The people around you can change. The neighborhood can change. But as long as the mental map you carry in your head remains the same, you will continue to arrive at the same destinations, no matter which road you choose. What you're about to see in this video isn't a list of techniques. It's a system, 10 concepts that the Japanese have developed over decades and centuries, not to motivate people, but to reprogram how the brain interprets reality, reacts to failure, and perseveres when everything indicates that it's not worth continuing. And there's a logic to it. Each concept isn't independent of the others. The first prepares the ground for the second. The second makes the third possible, and so on until the 10th, which transforms everything that came before into something permanent. This is the map Harold didn't have, but you're about to get it. After the Second World War, a Japanese company called Toyota faced a seemingly impossible problem. Their factories were producing defective cars at a rate that shamed the industry. They had numerous assembly line problems, leading to significant rework. But beyond that, Toyota's problem was a mindset issue. Toyota's response wasn't to hire American consultants. It was to unearth a philosophical concept and apply it to the production line. Within 10 years, Toyota became the most reliable manufacturer in the world. The concept was called Kaizen. And it's used the first of 10 that we cover in this video. In addition to Kaizen, this video will explore the concepts of Mushin, Zanshin, Fudoshin, Ikigai, Wabi-Sabi, Gaman, Ichinen, Seihaku, and Suari. Together, these concepts form a powerful roadmap to reprogram your brain. But here's what most self-help books don't tell you. Kaizen works not because it's a productivity technique. It works because it aligns perfectly with how the human brain is biologically programmed to change. Researchers at Stanford University studying neuroplasticity discovered that the brain resists abrupt changes as if they were threats, activating the same alarm system it uses for predators and physical dangers. But when the change is macroscopic, that alarm doesn't go off, and transformation begins beneath the radar of resistance. There was a man in Cleveland who needed to hear exactly that. He just didn't know it yet. His name was Harold. 30 years old. Raised in a neighborhood where life expectancy wasn't measured in years, but in stable hopes. The kind of place where ambition was treated as arrogance. Where dreaming beyond on a sound dress was met with the same expression people reserve for the insane. Harold worked in an accounting office where he was neither seen nor remembered. He arrived at 8 in the morning. He left at 6 in the afternoon. He sat at the same desk, opened the same files, closed the same numbers. Invisible to the company. Invisible to his colleagues. Invisible, and this was the part that hurt the most, to himself. His wife, Susan, was a good woman. Hardworking. Loyal. Realistic in the way the neighborhood taught people to be realistic. She loved Harold. But she didn't believe life could be any different. That's just how it is, Harold. Everyone lives like this. Perhaps you recognize yourself in his story. It was on a Tuesday afternoon, during his lunch break, sitting in front of a screen filled with spreadsheets that meant nothing to him, that Harold opened YouTube. He wasn't looking for Japanese philosophy. He was looking for anything that felt different from what he had already tried. Productivity techniques. Discipline hacks. Cold showers. Social media fasts. Waking up at 4 pulgadas de morning. He had tried it all. And nothing had changed the substance of his life. Then a video appeared. The top 10 Japanese concepts that reprogram your brain. Harold clicked, out of curiosity. But what happened next wasn't just watching a video. It was the beginning of the destruction of the mental map his environment had installed in his head. And the construction of a completely new one. It's a principle of identity. Because when you fully commit to an intention for long enough, you stop being someone who does this thing and begin to become someone for whom this thing is natural. Intention becomes identity. And it was there, by focusing all his energy in one direction, that Harold began to find the state the samurai described as the closest thing to human perfection. Chapter 9. Seihaku, the silence that builds. There's one scene that Harold kept forever. It was a Wednesday night. Susan had gone out to visit her mother. The apartment was empty. Harold sat at the kitchen table with nothing in front of him. No cell phone. No computer. No television on. Just a cup of tea, slowly cooling. And for a moment, he wasn't thinking about anything. He wasn't planning for the next day. He wasn't revisiting his conversation with Darren. He wasn't worrying about the month's bills. He wasn't monitoring his progress or questioning whether he was on the right track. He was just there. And within that silence, without being able to explain where it came from, the clearest clarity Harold had felt in years emerged. He knew exactly what the next step was. The Japanese call this state seihaku. Silence, but not the silence of absence. The silence of active stillness. A state of rest that is simultaneously alert. The kanji representing seihaku is often depicted next to a waterfall. Not the absence of movement, but movement so consistent that it appears still. Modern life has declared war on seihaku. Every possible space for silence has been filled. The elevator as music. The bathroom as a phone. Traffic jams have a podcast. Dinner as television. And the hidden assumption is this. Silence is empty. Silence is wasted time. But neuroscience shows the opposite. In 2013, researchers studying neural regeneration in mice discovered that 2 hours of silence per day stimulated the growth of new cells in the hippocampus, the region associated with memory and learning. The group exposed to relaxing music did not show the same effect. Silence, not relaxation, was the active factor. Studies on the glymphatic system, the process by which the brain clears metabolic waste during the rest, show that this system operates at minimal efficiency during continuous stimulation. In simple terms, a brain that never rests accumulates waste. Seihaku is not meditation. It's not a technique. It's the practice of allowing spaces in your life where no input competes for your attention, and treating those spaces not as emptiness, but as essential ground where the mind does its most important work. Harold began to protect silence the same way he protected an invaluable resource. A walk without headphones. Breakfast without a screen. 10 minutes before a bed without any devices. And it was within one of those silent moments that he made the decision that would change the next 2 years of his life. But for that decision to last, for it not to become another abandoned attempt, Harold needed the final and most powerful concept. The one that isn't about starting. It's about never stopping. Chapter 10. Suari, the complete map of mastery. First learn the rules as if they were laws. Then break them like law. Finally, abandon them as if they never existed. Suari is not just a concept. It's a map. Originally developed in Japanese martial arts and no theatre. Suarri describes the three inevitable stages of mastery. Su, follow the form. The beginner follows the structure with complete precision. No questioning. No innovation. No personalization. Just repetition. Again and again. Until the movement becomes automatic. Break the form. Once the structure is internalized, the practitioner begins to explore. To question. To test limits. To understand why the rules exist. From that understanding, adaptation begins, not out of rebellion, but out of deep comprehension. Transcend the form. At this stage, the form is no longer external. It becomes part of you. The rules are not followed, they are embodied. The master doente practice Kaizen. E becomes someone who naturally improves. E doente apply Zanshin. E lives in awareness. E doente use musin. E no longer fights himself. Harold understood exactly where stood when he first encountered Suarri. He was in Su. And that wasn't a weakness. It was exactly where he needed to be. The mistake most people make is trying to jump straight to Ri. They want mastery without discipline. Fluidity without structure. Wisdom without repetition. But Suarri teaches something simple, and brutal. There is no shortcut between the first stage and the last. And Ri are consequences of Su. They are what happens naturally when Su is practiced with sufficient depth. The neuroscience that validates Suarri lies in the studies of Anders Ericsson on deliberate practice, the research that led to the famous 10,000 hour hypothesis. What Ericsson discovered was not that any type of practice leads to mastery, but that structured practice within a system, with clear feedback, followed by reflection and progressive adjustment, is the only reliable path to what ecologic quality mental representations. These are the cognitive structures that allow experts to see patterns and make decisions that beginners simply cannot. Su is structured practice. A is feedback and adjustment. Ri is the mental representation that becomes identity. Harold didn't reach Ri within the time frame of this story. Nobody does in a few months. But he reached a point where the entire system made sense, where each concept stopped being a separate idea and became part of a coherent mechanism. Kaizen became the method of progression. Zanshin became the quality of attention that made progress visible. Musin became the inner clarity that allowed action without struggle. Ikigai became the fuel that didn't need refueling. Wabi-sabi became the structure that made failure non-fatal. Gaman became the ability to continue even without immediate reward. Ichinen became the focus that made effort efficient. Seihaku became the silence where everything integrated. And Suarri became the map, showing where he was, and reminding him that there was a path, even when he couldn't see it. Harold was no longer the man who drank coffee while staring at spreadsheets during his lunch break. Not because the spreadsheets disappeared. Not because his city changed. But because his map changed. And there is what Harold only understood much later. The part that changes the meaning of everything. 2 years after that afternoon in the accounting office, Harold was in a meeting with a small client his firm had hired for an audit. The client, Marcus Webb, was a businessman who had built a financial consulting firm from scratch and had grown steadily while larger competitors stagnated. As Harold asked his usual questions, Marcus suddenly interrupted him. "You ask questions differently than the other auditors," he said. "You actually listen to the answer before asking the next question. Most people don't do that." Harold didn't know how to respond. Because it wasn't a technique. It was Zanshin. But he wasn't practicing Zanshin anymore. It had become who he was. Marcus handed him his card. "If you ever want to work in a different environment, give me a call." Harold looked at the card. Then at the room. Then at the spreadsheets. And they understood something. That moment didn't come from nowhere. It came from 2 years of small, consistent actions. From 5-minute Kaizen sessions. From moments of protected silence. From failures repaired through wabi-sabi. From gammon practiced quietly, without recognition. The world didn't suddenly open up for Harold. Harold became someone for whom the world opens up. That's the difference no productivity hack can create. And that's what tested in Japanese concepts, applied as a system, can do. There might be 10 concepts in this video, but there is only one truth. The mind you have now is not the mind you are condemned to have. Kaizen proves that change is always possible, if it's small enough to start today. Fanzine proves that presence is not reserved for monks. It's a skill you train every moment. Musin proves that the voice saying this isn't for you isn't yours. It's an echo of your environment. Ikigai proves that motivation is the wrong fuel. And that there is a deeper one that never runs out. Wabi Sabi proves that cracks don't end the story, they make it meaningful. Gammon proves that discomfort is not a signal to stop. It's a sign you're regrowing. Ichinen proves that divided energy leads nowhere. Seihaku proves that silence is not emptiness. It's where clarity is built. And Suari proves that while there are no shortcuts to mastery, there is a map. And having that map changes everything. Harold didn't change because he found the right answers. He changed because he stopped to see their own map. And you can do the same. Not when circumstances improve. Not when people around you understand. But today. With the smallest action that is still real. Because the journey don't begin when you're ready. It begins the moment you take the first step, even when you're not. If you've made it this far, you've already shown something rare. The ability to stay with an idea long enough for it to truly sink in. Subscribe, not for me, but for yourself. So the next time you need something real, it finds you again. And remember, be present. Walk with honor. Follow the path. Until the next video.